Welcome back, everybody. This is Big Al here with DJ and Al Bets. Now we've crushed it the last 3 weeks. We've had about 20 units of profit in the last 3 weeks. It's been great. Our last losing card was the Brandon Moreno letdown in Mexico City. But last week, UFC Bulgari came through great as probably my most confident pick of the year, along with his prop bet of by KO 275. That was just, we were printing money with that one. That was just easy money. Israel Adesanya failed us, but however, we picked up a lot of underdogs. We had Grasso. We also picked up a couple of underdogs in the PFL. So last week's card was just phenomenal for us. Not everyone had a great week, but we did. And this week, however, one underdog pick I like, and to be honest, it's a shitty fucking card. It's a shitty card. There's some good fighters on it. There will be some good fights, but overall, not very excited for this one. As I'm excited for all of them, but compared to next week's card, which is going to be phenomenal in Miami, and we'll go over that next week. But to give you an idea, last week I allocated a maximum of 10 units. Plus one extra unit on fight day. Next week we're also going to allocate 10 units plus one, and this week, however, we're only going to do 5 units. But I am confident in my picks. All week I was looking for some gems, and I think I found a few that we could definitely benefit off of. I don't think we're going to have as big of a week as we had last week, but just I think we will end up in the green. So without further ado, let's get into the picks. First off, let's go with the main event. We have Money Moicano versus Chris Duncan in the main event. Money Moicano is about a plus 130-ish. Duncan's down to minus 150, 160. He was about minus 200 throughout the week, minus 190. And all of a sudden, some money's coming in on Moicano. I don't know why the money's coming in on Moicano, maybe the name, but this is a perfectly designed fight for Duncan. I don't see how Moicano wins this one without, something freak happening or Chris Duncan making a mistake and giving up his back. So Moicano looked like shit in his last fight with Dariush, right? And he lost to Islam the fight before that. And the fight that kind of got him the Islam fight was the BSD fight, which he looked phenomenal in the first round and slowed down in the second round and only won it by TKO because of a doctor's stoppage. Otherwise, I think he was on his way to losing that fight. Moicano's a grappler. He's a great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. He wants to get this fight on the ground. He needs to submit him in about the first 7 minutes because Moicano's biggest problem right now, as I see it, is him gassing. He gasses in almost every single fight I watch, and he's about to turn 37 in May. Usually your gas tank doesn't get better the older you get. Power's the last thing to go, but yeah, your gas tank and your durability start kind of fading. And I think we're going to see that here. Chris Duncan, on the other hand, his best attributes is his gas tank. He almost has like the Rocky personality to where, he needs to get hit a few times in order to kind of get going. In his fight against Rebecca, which was kind of his coming out party to me, I couldn't believe it. I bet against him. And that's the last time I did that. I couldn't believe that comeback. That was a war. And he showed a lot of heart, a lot of grit, chin, stamina. And in his last fight with Terrence McKinney, same thing. McKinney laid it on him in the beginning. He weathered the storm and then came back to put him out. So I think he finishes Moicano here in the second or third round, honestly. I don't see this fight going too much longer with Moicano's gas tank issues. Probably by knockout, but I wouldn't be surprised if Moicano gives his neck to kind of get out of there. Money Moicano doesn't really need money anymore either. Motivation I don't think is there like it used to be. He has a big time YouTube channel. He has money now, so I just don't see him being able to outlast Duncan. And at minus 150, it's kind of a steal. I bought him at minus 190. That's how confident I am in Duncan. I play him all the way to minus 230. This fight is perfectly set up for him. Now, if you want to take a little bit more risk and save on the chalk, you could just take him inside the distance at plus 110. I think I saw it, even money-ish. It's not that much better, but I do see it going inside the distance. And by knockout, I think it's plus 140 or 150 or something. So if you want to go that route, you could play it as high as that, or just stay safe and take Duncan money line at 150. It's not bad. It's actually going to be one of my most confident picks of the night. I think it's probably my number one or number two most confident at this point. Next fight up is going to be Verna Jandiroba versus Tabitha Ricci. So Verna just lost to Mackenzie Dern. Verna just lost to Mackenzie Dern in a very competitive fight where she could have won. And a lot of people had her winning. I had money on her. I was a little biased, so I had her winning, of course, but I can't see how Dern won that fight. And Dern's a hell of a fighter. But if she has that strap around her waist right now, she's probably a minus 200. And she was even money at first, and she's throughout the week slowly became the favorite at minus 130 at the moment. I don't love Tabitha Ricci. I watched some of her fights. Her most recent fights, she's getting better. But against Yan Zhuan, she also fought Verna. She got lit up on the feet. She got absolutely lit up, and granted, this was a little bit ago. While Verna completely destroyed Yan. Now, two different fights, right? I just don't see how Tabitha Ricci's going to be able to stop all those takedowns. And I think a lot of people think that Verna's now, she's 37, she's getting older, she's going to slowly digress, and Tabitha Ricci's on her way up, and she should have the upper hand here. I didn't see anything in the Mackenzie Dern fight that makes me think that she's getting worse, that she's slowing down. I think the takedowns will be there. I think she might actually submit her. Ricci might have some success on the feet, but she's not great on the feet. She's okay. And she has some ground game, but I don't think it's going to be enough to keep Verna off her. If it is, and this fight stands the whole time, Verna could be in trouble. I would do probably a quarter unit to half unit on Verna. Nothing too crazy. But that's the play there. I think that's the safe play there. Next fight is, Brendanson Gorilla Ribeiro versus Abdulrahman Yakayev, also known as the Hunter. We'll be hunting gorillas tomorrow. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. The Hunter is going to assassinate that fucking gorilla in probably 90 seconds, give or take. The only question is how. Is he going to submit him? He's going to knock him out. Probably going to knock him out. Rivera's been knocked out before. Yeah, I think he almost likes to get knocked out at this point. However, it's minus 275, minus 300 for a first round. By the way, Yakayev is a minus 2,000. So if you want to play the first round, it's probably there. Put it in a parlay. But honestly, I'm skipping that fight. I'm only betting on 8 of these fights out of the 13 fights. There's only 8 fights I'm betting on. Next down the list is actually probably going to be one of the best fights of the night. Fight that I'm super excited for. You have Ethan Ewing, Cinderella Story, versus a weight bully, Estevam. I don't like Estevam. He's coming up from 125. He missed weight twice out of his 3 fights. Last time he missed it by 5 pounds. So then basically he had to go up in weight. You can't miss weight that many times and not go up. And guess what? This morning he missed weight. He went from 125 to 135, and he still came in at 136.5. Still half a pound over, but how are you going to miss weight when you're going up? It definitely shows you that he's not 100% committed. You should be able. If you made 130 fucking a few months ago, you should be able to make 135, 136 even. Now, Estevam is a really good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu artist. He's a black belt. He's a specialist. He usually uses his strength to overpower his opponents. His opponents have sucked, to be honest. I watched all his fights in the UFC, and his first fight with Charles Johnson, he had him on the ground for 2 rounds. Third round, gasses, Johnson puts it on him, almost puts him away. Now, his next fight was, I think, Aguilar, who he was able to manhandle on the ground. He's not that great of a fighter. And his last fight, he was like a minus 800, came in overweight against another Brazilian. I forgot his name. And he was just also able to kind of, get this fight on the ground and control it on the ground. He's just way better than these guys. And bigger, too. He's going up against Ethan Ewing, who bursted on the scene was the Madison Square Garden card. So a few months ago. So I think like last October or something, last November. Big stage against Malcolm Wellmaker. Wellmaker's opponent fell out and they needed a replacement. Ethan Ewing comes up. Ethan Ewing ends up putting up one of the best performances I've seen from like a Cinderella story. Besides Bulgari, right? I'm gonna call him Bugatti. It's kind of the same thing. Bugatti came out against Azam Apokoyev last year, and nobody knew what he was. I even bet against him last time that's happening. And same thing with Ethan Ewing. Nobody knew who he was, and he comes in and he just shows that he's levels above the guy that he's fighting. The guy that he's fighting, at the time, Malcolm Wellmaker was one of UFC's hottest prospects, a huge fan favorite, knocking fools out, right? Look crisp, look clean. He was supposed to have an easy pathway to the top, but they kind of fucked up and gave him a beast. Ethan Ewing won I think it was the A1 championship, like the Elijah Faber's league, and he won the championship 9 days before the Madison Square Garden fight with Wellmaker. He got a call 48 hours before the fight and got his ass over there. Did a catch weight at 145, actually. He's a 135. He's a bantamweight, but they did a catch weight at 145. And he just destroyed him every single step of the way. Boxing's the most crisp and clean combos I've seen outside of Piotr Jan in that division. He was just so on point. And watching this guy fight, also listening to his interviews, he's extremely dialed in. He's good. He's confident. He has a good work ethic, it looks like. The way they faced off, Ewing looked bigger. I don't think Estevan's going to have an easy time taking him down. Ewing, he's a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and does have a wrestling base. So, great boxing, but he does have a wrestling base. The only issue is, how really good is his grappling? Who's really tested it, right? I don't know for 100% guarantee that he's going to be able to keep Estevam off him the whole fight. I do think he'll be able to keep him off in the majority of the fight. Estevam might win the first round by grapple fucking him and just humping his leg for fucking 5 minutes. I don't think he's going to submit Ewing. Worst case scenario, maybe a round and a half to 2 rounds is Estevan's the way he beat Charles Johnson is his only way. However, if Ewing gets this fight on the feet, he's going to finish it. And even if he does get grapple fucked for 2 rounds, in the 3rd round, I think he's going to knock him out. Estevam, again, had a tough weight cut. Or maybe it wasn't tough. Maybe he just didn't fucking cut it. But usually when you come in like a little bit overweight, that means you drained yourself. And I don't know how good his gas tank is. I don't think he has great work ethic either. That's why his gas tank sucks as is. I don't think it's going to change here. I think he's probably going to get cut after this fight too. You can't miss weight 3 times out of 4 fights. It's nuts. But Ewing minus, I wanted to get him at plus money. I thought he would be plus money. But I'm not the only one that sees it this way. So it's up to minus 140, minus 135. What is it right now? Yeah, it's about 130, 140, 135. That is the least I see. However, a play that I like more is him by knockout or just inside the distance. If you can get Ewing inside the distance at plus 275 or plus 250, right? You could get him by knockout because I don't think he's going to submit him, but you just don't want him to submit him and then you end up losing. But at plus 275, I really like that play. I think the value is definitely there. I'm doing both, right? That's my favorite prop, so I'm definitely going to lay on the prop, but I'm also taking them straight. And honestly, yeah, I don't think you can go wrong either way, but at plus 275, if you're unsure of Esteban's grappling, you don't want to expose yourself too much, right? And you're watching your allocation of the units, putting a quarter unit or even half a unit at the plus 275 inside the distance is good value. I do think he does get it done within 3 rounds. And yeah, that's my favorite prop bet. And Ewing is definitely on my top 5 fights. Next down the list, Tommy McMillan versus Manolo Zucchini. Tommy McMillan was like a minus 1,400. I think he's a minus 10, or minus 1,000, or minus 1,200. I don't fucking know. Manolo Zucchini shouldn't be in the UFC. Tommy McMillan has a lot of hype. I'm not going to spend too much time on this fight. I'm not taking this fight. However, the most popular bet is McMillan by submission. You know, Zucchini has a decent punch, so he does have a puncher's chance. I think Tommy McMillan is just going to take it to the ground and probably submit him. Majority of his fights, I think he's won by submission, 5 out of 8. So yeah, I'm not taking it, but if you want to take submission, minus 160, just to have something to bet on, something to watch. Or if you love Tommy McMillan, go for it. But I'll just kind of watch and root for, you know, Zucchini to knock him the fuck out. Thomas Peterson versus Guillermo Pat. One of the very, very few fights that is actually an even money fight. Guillermo Pat is minus 105. Thomas Peterson's about a minus 115, minus 120. And you kind of seen the line go between the two. You know, so it's basically it's a pick'em fight. I'm not betting on this fight, which is kind of weird. Considering it's one of the few fucking even money plays, but there's too much unknown in this one. Guillermo Pat is great striking, good karate. He's long and tall for this division. But I think his grappling really sucks. And Thomas Peterson is a grinder, right? He can take this to the ground, and we don't know if Guillermo Pat's going to be able to get 250-pound beast off of him. He actually had one good round against Petrino. Peterson did. The second round that it looked like he almost was going to win that fight, and then he gets knocked out in the 3rd round. Pat is not Petrino. Petrino has way better grappling. Overall, Thomas Peterson is the more experienced fighter and the better grappler. However, Guillermo Pat is the better striker and has the brighter future. If you put a gun in my head, I'm always going to go with the fat boy. I'm going with Thomas Peterson. I think the grappling will be too much, but I'm not betting it. I'm definitely skipping this fight. It's just, I don't know. I can't put money on Thomas Peterson right now against the guy I just don't know. Next, Jose Delano versus Robert Chala. Delano is now minus 310. He was about minus 400 throughout the week, so a little bit of money on Ruchala. Ruchala is kind of a fan favorite. He's had some tough fights. He's fought some really good competition. Jose Delano looked amazing in his Contender Series performance and in the regional scene, just knocking guys out too. Jose Delano can kind of do everything. Um, Robert Ricciala can also kind of do everything, but he's not good at anything. Jose Delano is a good striker, solid grappler. I think he's good overall. He gives me a little bit of Ilya Taporia vibes, like a poor man's Taporia. He's definitely not that good, but he's good. He's good. I think he might be ranked one day, and I don't think Robert Ricciala will be ranked. Ricciala is a fan favorite. He's a fun fighter. Um, he's a tough Pollock. He's throws loopy punches, solid grappling, decent power. Nothing that scares me. I think Delano's just going to be better. I think he's going to be more methodical. I think he's going to go out. He's probably going to take him out, but it's hard to take out Ricciala. The Polish people are very hard to get out of there early, unless you're Andrew Galata. You just leave. But yeah, my pick is Delano. I would definitely parlay it. It's one of my more confident parlay pieces for sure. And you could pick it put it as a parlay with either Duncan, and that'll probably get you even money. You could also toss it with Ewing, right? And if it fails for whatever reason, you can always go ahead and catch up on those fights later. But I think you could definitely save some juice by parlaying Delano, and I'm pretty confident that he should get Ricciala out of there, but I'm not going to bet on any props because I could see it going decision. I think decision is actually the most likely outcome. But yeah, give me Ricciala in all the parlays. Next is, I believe, Alessandro Costa versus Stuart Nickel. Nickel should not be in the UFC. Costa all day. He's minus 410, 420. Yeah, put him in parlays with whoever the fuck you want. I cannot fathom Costa losing to Stuart Nickel. Nickel really sucks. I think Costa should be a minus 1,000. Easy. Nickel is only able to win fights if he's bigger or stronger than his opponent, and in the UFC he's just not. He's a grappler. Costa's super tough. He's fought great competition. His last fight was against Correa, and Correa kind of came out. Corey's great. He came out there and he put it on Costa, but Costa had some moments, and he ended up, I think, breaking his toe too, so he couldn't actually step out in the third. But Costa's super tough, good striking, good grappling. Is he a top 15 guy? No. But he's definitely, kind of gives me a little bit of Ricky Simone vibes. Kind of look alike. Definitely way better than Nickel. This is levels difference. So easy. You could parlay him with Delano. There's another piece coming up that you could parlay and getting pick-em odds of minus 115 that I really like. But you could also put them in any parlay you like with either. Put him with Ewing, you're getting probably even money. Put him with Duncan, you're getting close to even money. Yeah, really like that fight. So it's definitely one of my top 8 fights. Next is going to be a really shitty fight. Landon Ventana, Darius Flowers. Not going to spend a lot of time. I'm not betting on this fight. Ventana's minus 230, hasn't fought in like 74 years. And Darius Flowers sucks. He's lost 3 times. He does not belong in the UFC, but I don't know. I can't lay chalk on Ventana, and I'm not picking Darius Flowers. So if you want to take a flyer, some people are taking Flowers. If you know something and you know Ventana's going to crush him, then you want to put him part of a parlay, but fuck that. I'm not laying that kind of chalk. Just skip this fight. Go get yourself a snack during this one. I don't think it's going to be very fun to watch. Next down the list is going to be one of my favorite fights of the night. One of my most confident picks. One of my biggest plays. And it's actually a girl fight. Haley Cohen versus Elise Pereira. So at first, I was not going to bet on this fight. But you see the Alice Pereira name. She is the sister of Alex Pereira or his daughter, or no, she's not related. But there's the rumors are out there. So when I first saw it, I kind of thought she was the sister because I heard something, and I researched it. No, they're not related at all. But because of that, I do actually think that the public made her the favorite because of that. Because she's 19 or 20 years old now, and she's the favorite. She looked like shit in her one and only fight in the UFC against Rendon. I'm talking awful. And it's fine, she's 20 years old, but Rendon pieced her up on the feet and took her down kind of easily. And Rendon sucks. Um, she showed me nothing. 6 months better, so yes, she's probably learned some things, but how much did she possibly learn in that time? How much? Right? She has decent power. She has a decent 1-2, kind of loopy shots. Okay leg kicks, but not a great grappler. She has a long way to go. On the other side, you have Haley Cohen, who is an athlete, right? She was a gymnast for a very long time. She has not had the greatest fighting career, right? She also hasn't fought in a while. She had some injuries, I believe. But she has definitely more experience. Now, I watched an interview with her, and apparently she moved about 9 months ago, I think it was, to Las Vegas to fight at Extreme Couture, and she's living there and fighting out of Extreme Couture full time. She's living and breathing this nonstop. I think her roommate is also like her training partner. Like she's 100% committed to this fight game. And I like that. She looked very confident. She looked good. In her interview, I could just tell that she's ready for this fight. She's also known that this was going to be her opponent for a while, actually, for months, because they were supposed to fight before. So she's been preparing for this girl. Now, on top of that, I did a little bit more digging, right? It was kind of actually, I was like, wait a minute, I thought she was married, and then how does she just leave her husband and whatever? But anyways, I kind of Googled her, and I was just looking to see who her training partner was, and I ended up finding an article about her husband being arrested. 13-year-old girl. Yep. So that now makes sense why she moved from Texas to Vegas, and is committed. But man, she had to go through all that too. 13-year-old girl, God, he's gonna get his. But first thing I thought when I read that was, "Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned." That saying's older than America. Okay, for a reason. It's to the test of time for a reason. She's gonna destroy this girl. She's confident. She's ready. She's motivated. And no way is she losing to a teenager again. That's my and she's also a plus 120 right now. I think she's gonna finish her. I actually think she's gonna finish her. The fight to go the distance like minus 280, minus 300, but I think she's going to find the choke in the second round. Rendon almost did. Haley's the better grappler. I think she's going to make the fight dirty. I think she's going to pull out all the stops. She's definitely more experienced. And now, she's only 34 years old, right? So she's still around that for the prime years of her life, and she doesn't have many miles on those tires. So I think you're going to see the best Haley Cohen you've seen, and I just don't think you're going to see a much better Pereira, slightly better Pereira, but I think this is going to be one-sided. And if you end up having some balls, you're a D-Gen, and you want to go ahead and place a quarter unit on Haley plus 550 inside the distance, Cena plus 650 as well, I wouldn't blame you for it. I'm doing it, but I'm a DJ. Now, if you want to go even a step further, Haley by submission, I think was like plus 950. Just go inside the distance in case she, she ends up, just knocking her out or whatnot. Ground and pound probably. I don't think she has one punch knockout power. But I do think she'll be able to get her on the ground. I think she'll be able to win the minutes in the cage. At the very least, she should win a decision, right? Unless she gets robbed, because they want to see Alice Pereira do well. But I don't think they'll even have a chance. I don't think this fight's gonna be close. At plus money, I'm doing something I usually never do, and I'm gonna place a unit on Haley Cohen. It's after Duncan. I think this is probably my Duncan, Haley, and Ewing are like my top 3 picks. Next fight. Another fight I'm actually pretty confident about is going to be Azamat Bakoyev versus Tresean Gore. They both looked good in the weigh-ins. However, Bakoyev's just way better. He's minus 750 though. I got him at minus 600 earlier in the week, but whatever. If you parlay Bakoyev with 2 other big confident picks that we have, which was Delano minus 310 and Costa minus 410, 420, you're getting about a minus 115-ish, kind of, around there. I think you can put a unit on that pretty confidently, right? Unless you want to kind of spread out these picks. So there's a few different ways you can play them. But Bakoyev's going to beat Gore. Gore doesn't belong in the UFC. All he has is one submission. That's it. And he's not going to get that on Bakoyev. Bakoyev's faster, stronger, better grappler, better striker. It's just better overall. And he just ran into a brick wall with Bugatti, man. He got ran over. And it's not his fault. I think most people will lose to Bugatti. So I can't take too much away from that. I still think Bakoyev is going to be a decent fighter in the UFC for a while. And he should win this probably inside the distance. Gore is going to go for it. He always does. I don't think he's going to have much success. But now, are we going to lay minus 750 again on Bakoyev? He fucked us last time. But so be a little cautious there. Shit could happen. If Gore gets him in a guillotine, like at minus 750, I don't love it. Like if you don't bet on it, you're not really losing much. But this bet, you could put it with Duncan, you can put it with Ewing, and there's another fight coming up. And then you're just, at least you're not paying any chalk, right? So Bakoyev inside the distance is the call. The next fight down the list, Diony Barbosa versus what's her name? Melissa Gatto. I've had to watch a lot of girl fights because this card just sucks, and I'm just looking for good value. But Barbosa, I think, is the better fighter. She's definitely a better grappler. Barbosa should have won her last fight versus Karine Silva. It was a robbery. The crowd booed. So Barbosa would have won that fight, and her record would be a little bit different. I think you're probably looking at minus 180, 190, right? Rightfully so. Barbosa gets to the ground, and I think dominates Gatto on the ground. I think Gatto is going to be able to get off the ground easily. Does she submit her? Probably not. I think she grinds out 2 rounds. But look, they've stolen rounds from her before. So, not super, super confident. But she's clearly the better fighter. I would say I feel just as confident about this fight as the Verna fight. It's priced exactly the same. She's minus 125. She was minus 140 all week. She's minus 130, minus 125. You can parlay her with Bakoyev. And that's my early bird parlay, right? You parlay those two together, you're getting even money, right? I love to start off the night with a win. So up to half a unit, quarter unit to half a unit max. Wouldn't go too much wouldn't invest too much into this fight, right? But she is better. And at minus 125, I think you're getting pretty decent value. You don't have to parlay it at all. You could straight play it. The first fight of the night, last one we'll go over, and we're not going to spend too much time. Kei Kamaka the third versus Dakota Hope. They just pieced this one together. I'm going to probably skip this one. Kei Kamaka, I think, is going to win. He's older, more experienced. This is his second run at the UFC, I believe. But Dakota Hope does have a puncher's chance. He's plus 125, plus 130. Kamaka's minus 150, 155. Dakota Hope, I don't think is polished yet. He has puncher's chance for sure. And there's just not enough I know about this fight to lay chalk on Kamaka. And I wasn't even expecting this fight, so I'm okay now betting it. So just to kind of recap, our most confident plays is Chris Duncan. I'm laying a unit and a half to win a unit. Verna Jandiroba isn't in my top 5, but she's probably 6. I think her and Barbosa kind of tie for the 5th spot. Ethan Ewing, definitely in the top 5. And I love the parlay of Delano. Delano parlayed with Costa and Bekweev. And my favorite pick of the night, Haley Cohen. Super confident in that one. Really like the prop for Ewing. It's my favorite prop of the night at plus 275. I think it hits. And I really like the prop for Cohen, my top 2 props. So there it is. Going to be laying around 5 to 6 units max this week. And we'll be coming back to lay another 10 units next week. And we'll get into next week's card next few days here. But it's a really, really good card. Best card of the year. Can't wait for that. Hope you liked the video. Like, subscribe, comment. Let me know who you're picking. Fade me if you want, but killing it, I wouldn't. But yeah, good luck out there. Hope you guys make some money too. And let me know how you do. See y'all next week.